I'm regularly sent reports about attacks happening in waters all over the world. From these, I extract the extraordinary from the easily explained. And recently, one remarkable case leapt to my attention. It comes from a fishing community on a remote volcanic island that's part of Papua New Guinea in the South Pacific. It concerns a spate of underwater attacks that has left a trail of bloodied victims along the coast. The assailant strikes quickly and seemingly at random, leaving behind large puncture wounds, but no other clue to its identity. The locals are baffled and afraid because they depend on the sea for their survival. With the collective knowledge built up over centuries, they know everything in their waters. Or thought they did. Could a bloodthirsty alien have migrated from elsewhere? Could this be a native species gone bad? Or, in this remote corner of the world, could there be a completely new kind of monster? Not just new to the locals, but new to me, new to all of us. The remote island where the report originated is called New Britain. It's one of the least explored places on Earth, and somewhere I've never set foot. Named in the 17th century by an English explorer, it's mountainous, covered in rainforest, and about the size of Maryland. But all I know for certain is that the incidents happened along a particular stretch of coast, where dozens of coral islands lie just offshore. I've managed to find a boatman named John, who has agreed to take me to some of the isolated communities where I can start my investigation. Everywhere you look on the water, you've got canoes and you've got people actually in the water themselves. It's almost as if they spend more time immersed than they do on land. And it's all about fishing, because these people, they have to fish every single day just to feed themselves. I want to start collecting information about the recent attacks, and John has suggested this market island where people gather to exchange and barter goods. These isolated fishing communities have little or no contact with the rest of the world and rarely see outsiders. I expect them to be suspicious of a stranger like me. But a catch being unloaded gives me an opportunity to talk about fishing, our common ground. You have a lot of fish? In a throwback to colonial times, most people here speak a version of Creole called Tok Pisin, and some speak a little English.
Yes. Yeah. So all spear these fish. So okay. So you're going down very deep, or someone's going down. Is this you? You?
It's the man.
So you go like 30, 40 meters?
Yeah.
So like 100 feet? More than 100 feet, wow.
He shows me a homemade spear gun that uses inner tubes from old tyres to launch the spear.
Okay. It looks very powerful, and it goes very quickly. 1 minute it's there, the next moment it's in the fish.
Looking at the fish he's caught, it's clear that beneath the surface, it's an arms race. The fish are bristling with weaponry. He's just telling me you've got to be very careful. On the tail, there is a spine which is actually pointing forwards. So I'm glad they pointed it out to me, because I could have hurt myself. These fish can all inflict some injury, but I'm told none of them get big enough to be a serious threat to humans. The locals soon warm to a fellow fisherman, and I turn the conversation towards the attacks. Any big fish here that bite people that you hear about? They tell me that because of the recent incidents, everybody is now wary in the water. Nobody on this island has been attacked. But they know about a spear fisherman who encountered a large, toothy fish he'd never seen before. And they think it could be the culprit.
Yes, but actually, I remember one man named George.
They tell me this man's name is George, and he lives, I believe it's the island right on the horizon there. So I need to go and try and get some more details from him.
As a spear fisherman, George will know these waters well, so he could be a valuable first witness in my investigation.
These people encounter fish on a daily basis, and because being actually under the water and spearfishing is such a big part of that, their familiarity with those fish and their behaviour possibly surpasses that of fishermen anywhere else in the world. So for an experienced spear fisherman to see something that he can't identify, if that's true, that is hugely significant.
On the way to George's Island, I spot a lot of activity, a sign that fish are feeding. It's a chance to get my line in the water and catch potential suspects. I'm hoping that pulling a bright lure behind the boat will call out to anything predatory nearby.
This diving vein here, that will send it down deep. I'm expecting this to work fairly close to the bottom in this coastal bit of water here. There's also a little bit of a rattle there. So this is actually working on different channels. It's sending out visual cues, but also there's vibration in the water. Floating down, floating, 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 and then down it goes. I mean, that's good. That shows the lure is working well. That nice bounce of the rod tip there. The chances are a fish might first pick up not on the visual flash of the lure, it might first actually feel that vibration, head towards it, then it'll move in for the strike.
It's not long before something takes my lure.
Yep. It's interesting. This is sort of heavy, but it's not really running. It's coming in. Just a flash. There it is. There it is. There it is. It's going down again.
It's a golden snapper, and it's pretty well armed.
This is a very spiky fish. What a beautiful fish. What a lovely coloration. Big eyes. Suggests a sight predator. Big mouth. Well, that just confirms that it's a hunter. It is a predator. Teeth in there. They're not very big teeth, but that's basically if it grabs something, whatever it is, it's not going to get away.
It's a fearsome predator, but they only grow to a couple of feet, and their teeth are too small to inflict the life-threatening puncture wounds I'm investigating. Back on the trail of witnesses, I arrive at the island where George lives. And I'm greeted by an inquisitive crowd. George isn't amongst them, so I head into the village where there are carvings everywhere, including what appear to be ritualistic totems.
Lots of fish carvings, which you'd sort of expect. I mean, the people live right on the water. Here is very, very rich in art, in representation. Some of these things are clearly imaginary or mythical, and there's some real creatures here as well.
It's a rogues gallery, with mugshots of all the well-known lethal predators in the area. But I'm looking for something underwater and unknown, and I'm hoping George the spear fisherman can help. He tells me he was out fishing on a nearby reef. At first, there wasn't much around. But then he spotted a school of fish and dived down after them. He didn't notice a large, mysterious fish coming straight for him until it was inches from his face.
This was a dark-coloured fish, not excessively long. He says, a pretty long fish, but the main thing about it, very deep-bodied, a big head with what looked like big teeth. Was this the first time you'd seen this fish?
Yeah, I'm straight. First time I'm looking at fish here.
In over 30 years of spearfishing in these waters, George had never seen a fish like this before. So it's a suspect I have to take seriously. John and I have headed out to the reef where George's encounter happened in the hope of catching the fish that went after him. My tactic is to simply drop a piece of bait down onto the coral below to tempt whatever is down there. Just beyond the drop-off, the depth plummets from a few feet to a few hundred.
That's fish. Oops. This is what they call a coral trout. Beautiful coloration, bright orange, some purple in there as well. Quite a spiky dorsal fin there, and very predatory. Big mouth, lots of teeth, very toothy, but very much in miniature. They do go bigger than this. That coloration is just so vivid and so unmistakable. There's no way that this is the mystery fish I'm looking for.
I decide to switch up my tactics. Instead of fishing a single spot, I start trolling, allowing me to cover much more of the reef.
Oh, and ahead. You know, fish are on the hunt. They're definitely on the hunt. The birds are coming down to grab any confused, injured bait fish. Yeah, it's really kicking off here now.
And this activity is a sign unseen predators are on the hunt.
Oh, yeah. Looked or something, but that's really going. This is a powerful fish. Oh, I can see colour. Here we go. Getting it slowly nearer to the surface. We're going to see the fish.
It's a giant trevally.
Big eye, that goes with being a sight predator, hunting down prey by sight.
As I discovered in Fiji, giant trevally can be lethal, using their head as a battering ram. But I'm looking for an aggressive biter.
They got teeth. There's a couple of canines in the middle of the lower jaw. You know, that could inflict some damage.
But not the life-threatening wounds I'm investigating. And there's another thing. An experienced fisherman like George would recognise it.
These are very familiar fish. If somebody saw a giant trevally, they'd know it was a giant trevally. So we're talking about something else.
Back on the trail of the mystery assailant, my boatman John and I carry on trolling to see what other big predators can be enticed from the depths.
Every now and again, this gives a real hit on the rod. Right, it's in quite close now. I can see that's quite a long fish. What's that? That's barracuda. Okay, here we go.
This fish has the hardware to cause some serious injury.
Those teeth are almost like daggers. The mouth doesn't really even need to close. It just swims at speed with its mouth open and leaves a long cut.
The teeth are so sharp that in Florida, just a glancing blow was enough to slice a man's arm to the bone. Although dangerous, this fish doesn't make my suspect list either.
And the shape and everything's all wrong for a start, but everybody knows what a barracuda is around here.
The spear fisherman described a dark, full-bodied creature with a big head, so definitely not this fish.
Well, I'm starting to rack up the species, and certainly lots of predators here, but nothing so far that's at all out of the ordinary.
At the moment, there's no firm link between the fish that went after George and what's responsible for the more serious incidents I'm here to investigate. To get closer to that culprit, I need to find more witnesses. But that's easier said than done. These communities are spread along miles of coast and over dozens of small islands, and communications are limited. But in one village, I'm told about a man named Andrew, who some years ago was bitten by something unknown.
Can you tell me what happened?
Des la pisia. Mi boklo bisi lo net. Mi tromo net na mi net stop.
Andrew tells me how he and a friend went fishing one day, wading into chest-deep water on the reef. They were using a long gill net to make a circular trap.
So what happened to Andrew was he's deployed the net, he's gathering it in, and there's something in there which is big. And because it's enclosed, it's wanting to escape, and what happened is it bit his leg.
The assailant left a bloody puncture wound in Andrew's calf. It then escaped, but not before he got a good look at it.
Lusum net one time fish stop na. Narpla pisi mi by team mi run away peni.
Is this big fish?
Very big fish.
How big is...
About this big.
Blackfish.
Blackfish. Me no looking fish and me come.
It's a strikingly similar description to the mystery fish that went for George the spear fisherman.
This one?
But there's more. This time it left behind physical evidence.
Yeah.
A scar on Andrew's leg.
One hole?
One hole.
One tooth?
One hole.
So sharp tooth. The scar is interesting because he said this is a fish with big teeth. They're sort of pointed teeth, and it made one hole in his leg. On the basis of what I've just heard, it's sounding very likely that the mystery fish on the reef and this fish that bit Andrew, they could be one and the same. And the other thing that was very interesting was the scar in his leg. A single hole, it's very characteristic, but at the same time, I've got no idea at the moment what that could be.
As there was only one mark on Andrew's leg, it's clear that the culprit's teeth are quite far apart. So this is the dental profile I need to be looking for. Andrew has told me where he was attacked, and I've waded out to the scene of the crime. But fishing without the protection of a boat leaves me feeling vulnerable to whatever might be out here.
I'm standing on nice shallow water here, but right here it plunges away. It's dark. I can't see what's there, but anything that's there can very clearly see me. So it's a little bit more adrenaline perhaps than normal involved in this fishing. Yes! Trying to get it away from the coral.
It's a strong fish, and I'm struggling to keep my footing.
Leader in sight, leader in sight. Ah! That was 10 feet from where I'm standing when that came off. It was just round the edge of the lip of the coral here. It was something dark against a dark background, because here is light, that is all dark water there.
The stealthy attacker I'm after is a big, dark fish. So this could have been it.
So that was a sizable fish, and I just Just wish I'd seen it, at least, even if I didn't get it in, just a glimpse, but no glimpse.
Some predatory fish are seriously territorial, and it could come back for more. But although I keep casting, it doesn't fall for the same trick twice. The fish aren't biting, so I carry on up the coast in search of other attack victims. At the next village, I hear about an incident that's very similar to the ones I'm investigating, but with an interesting new detail. The attacks, which I thought were recent, may have begun decades ago. One of the witnesses is now 70 years old. Jim was just a boy when the attack took place, but every detail from that day is seared into his memory. He was with a group of family and friends at a river mouth near their village. It was a hot day, so Jim and a friend ran into the water to cool off. Just as they were about to jump off a log, Jim spotted something.
They saw a movement in the water. They saw, first of all, it was bubbles. They thought it was a crocodile. But then they saw a dark shape and they realised that it was a fish.
Thinking this large fish would make an easy meal for the family, Jim called over his older brother to spear it. His brother hit it first time, but the fish thrashed free and attacked. It sank its teeth into his brother's leg and started to drag him away. Hearing screams, the adults raced into the water.
Jim says if people hadn't come to help, he would have been pulled away.
A tug of war ensued and the fish finally let go. They were able to get Jim's brother back to shore. The assailant had left behind 2 big puncture wounds.
And it's bleeding so profusely that they're really worried that he could be in danger. He could maybe even bleed to death.
They made a makeshift tourniquet out of vines and hoped for the best. Despite his injuries, Jim's brother survived the attack. I asked Jim to draw a life-size outline of the dark fish that attacked his brother.
Okay, so it is a very simple outline, but this tells me something perhaps about the character of the shape of the fish. Bit of an arch back here, bit of a hump, flat belly, and a pretty solid-looking head there.
It's all starting to add up. The large puncture wounds sound very similar to Andrew's.
About this big,
Blackfish.
blackfish.
And Jim's description of the fish matches all the others I've heard. Size, shape, and colour. So although the attacks are 60 years apart, I believe the same type of fish is responsible. And Jim has a name for the assailant.
Mogilo.
It's not a name I recognise. Linking all these attacks is a major step forward, but I still have no idea of the perpetrator's identity. Jim's story does give me one other piece of information, though. The recent incidents were all in the ocean, but Jim's brother was attacked in the brackish waters of a river mouth. My boatman, John, knows the spot.
Estuaries can be very interesting places because this boundary between fresh and salt, it's almost like a barrier. Most saltwater species, they can't go up the river. Most river species can't continue to the sea. But you get a certain amount of mixing. You get a certain amount of mixing of the water and also a certain amount of mixing of species. So it's the kind of place where you can sometimes find a surprise.
This location could be a breakthrough because it's possible that what I'm after isn't just a marine fish.
Because I'm after a carnivore, I'm going to be using a dead fish. Quite smelly, this one. The thing is, when I put it in the water, the current is going to take out a nice trail.
Unweighted, the bait would get washed away by the current. So I'm using a big lump of dead coral to hold it on the bottom, where there's a much better chance of getting a strike. I'm tying the weight onto the main line with weak monofilament, so that when something takes the bait, it will snap off, and I won't have to haul in the rock as well.
No need to cast this, I'm just going to lower it off the back of the boat and the current will take it down some way.
I've barely set my rig when there's a bite.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Yes, 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 yes. Here we go, fish on. It's here, it's this side. It's about 5 feet long. Whatever it is about 5 feet long. There it is.
An unmistakable fin breaks the surface. It's a juvenile bull shark, at home in salt water, but also comfortable in the brackish water of a river mouth.
We're going to get in the boat, have a slightly closer look at it. So, if I just lift up here, John's going to get the tail. Good to go. There it is.
We have to be careful. The shark's highly flexible cartilage skeleton allows it to bend back on itself in ways that bony fish can't.
The thing with this is, just half a second lack of concentration, you've got a hole in your arm and you... Okay. This is about the right size for the fish that bit Jim's brother, but look at the teeth.
I've seen the mark of this beast before. Normally hidden by gums, its teeth, like almost all sharks, leave behind a distinctive crescent-shaped bite. So sharks aren't on my suspect list. Their jaws just don't match the puncture wounds I'm investigating.
So interesting to see what's in these waters in the way of predators. I think it's still alive. I think it's time to put this over the side.
Although it's a biter, this one's just tried to take a chunk out of me. This isn't the Mogilu that Jim talked about.
Off it goes.
I've been invited to a gathering at the village of attack victim Andrew, the man who sports a scar from the mystery assailant. It's a celebration called a Sing Sing, where tribespeople meet to share music, dance and stories. For me, any event like this is a chance to meet potential witnesses and uncover more information. I can also bring Andrew up to speed with my investigation. I tell him that I've widened my search for his attacker to the river mouth, and it's then that he gives me a tantalizing clue.
Okay, you like him story block fish. Okay, this la fish and over long fish. I'll have a locate long. Mouse lo water. But look and stop lo this la same place.
Move where?
Yeah, only move up the river.
This is a very interesting extra piece of information. He's saying He has seen a large fish moving from the estuary up the river.
Andrew knows it wasn't a shark, but he says it was large and dark. So now I have reports of unidentified dark-coloured fish in 3 different places: ocean, estuary and upriver, and I'm wondering whether they're all the same fish. So what could it be? What is this fish that old Jim called mogilu? One thing's for sure, if I'm going to find it, I need to take this investigation somewhere I never thought I'd have to.
I think I've just seen something that's actually been staring me in the face for a while. I've checked out the reef, I've checked out the estuary, and I thought I'd run into a bit of a dead end, but after what Andrew has just told me, there is of course one other place that I just must go and investigate.
If this fish can straddle the salt and freshwater divide and go up rivers, it's part of a very select club, whose other members include not just bull sharks, but sturgeons and salmon, neither of which live here.
This is suddenly feeling a lot more like familiar territory for me, moving up into fresh water, this wonderful, wild, jungly river. And what gets me particularly excited about this place is, by all accounts, this is unexplored.
My boatman, John, tells me that the few tribes that have pushed this far into the jungle lead isolated lives and have little contact with the world beyond the forest. Visitors are rare, but he has heard of one other outsider who has been given permission to be here. Any local knowledge is a good thing, so we're on the lookout for his camp. Exploring the river upstream, we spot some signs.
How are you?
His name is Rickard, and it turns out he's a field researcher for an Australian university. As part of his studies, he's investigating what species inhabit this river system.
I use small underwater cameras, and we position them in areas where I think the fish are congregating, like the snags and like those weed beds out there.
Rickard has an amazing setup for a place so remote, and he's built up quite an archive of what's in the river.
See, every now and then we get the small fish. I've got a lot of good footage of some what I think could be new species.
The camera gives me a window on what conditions are like under the water here.
I'm instantly thinking fishing, and you're just asking to get sort of hung up on all this stuff, aren't you? I mean, there's a lot of dead wood and stuff under the water.
As we scroll through more footage, something huge comes into view.
So what is that?
That is what the locals call the mogilu.
That's the mogilu.
That's the mogilu.
This is totally unexpected. I recognise it as the Papuan black bass, a fish I've always thought of as a freshwater species. So I never considered it for the attacks in open ocean.
I thought the same, that they're freshwater fish, but in actual fact we're starting to discover now that they do move into the salt water.
That's actually really interesting, because until this point everything was not making a lot of sense, but that bit of information, I mean, suddenly everything that I've been hearing up to now just falls into place. It all starts to make sense.
Yep.
Rickard captured the images of black bass an hour upstream from his camp. So that's where John and I are heading. The Papuan black bass is renowned for its power and aggression. I've never caught one, so I'm excited by the prospect of going up against this jungle river gladiator. And by catching one, I'll be able to see for myself whether it has the hardware capable of causing the attack wounds I'm investigating.
Yes, there we go. To get them onto my line, I'm using a lure called a popper. It creates a disturbance on the surface that mimics something injured and vulnerable. Key to this working is to cast it with pinpoint accuracy. If you're overconfident, you just hook up on the bank, you've lost the chance of anything that might be there. And if you're overcautious, you're too far away from it, and the fish doesn't have the security of the snag. It's not so likely to come out and grab it. Like with any sport, I have to get my eye in first. That's starting to get there. Yeah, I used to play a lot of basketball when I was in my teens, and it gets to the point where you're not really thinking about your technique at all, and that's the sort of the situation I'm trying to get at here, where you just sort of look at that spot there, and it goes there. That's perfect. After hours of casting with little success, I move upriver and come across a small settlement. The tribes living in the jungle own all of the rivers, and to fish here, I must have their permission. In Papua New Guinea, it's customary for visitors to present a gift when they enter a tribe's territory, so I give them some of our rice. I'm possibly the first Westerner they've ever seen, but once John has explained my mission, they're happy to grant me permission to fish. So it's okay for me to fish here? It's not a problem for you? Before I head off, the villagers recount their own experiences with the black bass, or mogilu. Okay, so you catch the little ones, you catch and eat them, but the big one?
Big one, no.
Always break. They say that they do fish for mogilu. The big ones, they say, break the line. And if it weren't to break the line, apparently if a big one gets close, it could go for it. Oh, thank you. That's great. One man has told me that the best place to find them is a bit further upstream. And I've actually anchored here for a reason. I'm starting to get worried about the state of the water. It's colouring up. It's not been raining here, but I think it's probably raining upstream. There's a lot of debris on the top of the surface, and it's just clouding. And the thing about black bass is they're sight feeders. If I'm putting a lure through the water, if it clouds up too much, they're just not going to be able to see it, and that's probably why things have been very slow so far. But here, this is a confluence, and it's a bit like a miniature version of the famous meeting of the waters in the Amazon. You've got the cloudy water with the dark sort of tea or coffee stained water coming in. And so you get this very clear boundary between the two, and then for a long way downstream you've got an area of mixing, and it's a classic place for predators to hang out, particularly in the cloudy water and pouncing out into the clear water to grab unsuspecting prey fish. My game plan for getting a black bass is to cast to where the clear and cloudy waters meet, then work my lure along the boundary. Something goes for it, almost straight away. Yes, that's a good sized fish. That's a good fish, Off! And it's off. But it's left something behind. I've got some tooth marks. I've got 1, 2, 3. They're quite widely spaced, pointed teeth by the look of it. And one here has actually gone in quite a long way, which makes me think of that scar on Andrew's leg. That single hole. And here we've got something that's made quite a deep hole in, it's actually hard plastic. Only something with a big bite force could have created a mark like that. Something that would easily tear through human flesh.
Yes!
It's not long before I get another strike. The fish are definitely on the feed. This one is firmly hooked, but I've still got a fight on my hands.
There's all sorts of snags down there which I've been hanging up on, so I'm keeping the rod up. I'm trying to get it to the surface. See the leader? Just saw a flash. There it is. There it is.
This is the first Papuan black bass I've caught.
Well, I actually thought this was a significantly bigger fish. It does say a lot for the power of these.
This is a good start, but one this size couldn't be responsible for the attacks I'm investigating. I need to catch a big one, and they get much bigger than this.
It's encouraging. I'm feeling that I'm starting to get the measure of these.
I'm clearly in the right place, but time looks like it might be against me.
That doesn't sound good.
Black bass are sight predators, and the muddy runoff from the banks means they won't be able to see my lure. Carrying on in this is futile. The river has transformed overnight, with whole trees being washed downstream, and the water has completely clouded up. This has happened very, very quickly. The thing is, for this to get back to normal is going to take several days. That's if it doesn't rain again. If it does rain again, it's going to stay like this. It's going to possibly even get worse. My only realistic option of catching a black bass now is to head back downstream to the river mouth. Swapping the confined space of a river for a bigger expanse of water would normally make catching one even more of a lottery. But as the river widens, it slows, the sediment starts to settle, and the water mixes with the ocean, making it clearer. Better conditions for sight predators like black bass.
This looks like quite a nice spot here. There's the main current flowing down to the estuary just there. But there's a little slack there. I think we can tuck in there. We can be in a little bit of shade, which is always nice.
I'm going to use a different tactic. I'm ditching the lures and going with bait. And I'll cast out to the edge of the deep channel. This could be my final chance to do battle with a big black bass.
Oh, here we go. There's something on there. Just go out this way a bit, yes, that's a fish. Motoring over to where the fish is at the moment. It looks like it's well clear of the bank, but the problem is there could well be sunken snags down here. Shortening the line, shortening the line, shortening the line. Yeah, just keep coming this way into this clear bit. It's a big fish. Yeah, can maybe stop the motor, stop. Yeah, this is good, this is good. Here we go. And, oh, there's the leader, there's the leader. I can see it now. It's on the surface. There it is. It's a big bass. Net in the water. And left. Yes. Wow. Yeah. Well, this is a big New Guinea black bass.
This battle-scarred specimen is large, but they can grow to twice this weight.
I think all the pieces finally fall into place. It has the coloration that matches
George's story of that mystery fish on the reef. It has the teeth that could have inflicted that bite wound that I saw on Andrew. And having felt this on the end of a line, no doubt about it, the power. If this thing grabbed hold of your leg and started pulling, I think you'd go with it. You'd go under the water. This is the fish that I'm looking for. This is the fish behind those stories.
When I set out to investigate these attacks, I thought I was searching for a saltwater predator. Turns out, I was only half right. These attacks are part of growing evidence that black bass are able to straddle the worlds of both fresh and salt water. It's an amazing adaptation that scientists are only starting to understand. And for me, it's encouraging proof that new monster mysteries are still out there, waiting to be uncovered. As all signs of land disappear, I rapidly lose my sense of direction. It becomes sickeningly apparent that this is a far cry from the rivers and lakes that I'm used to.